What's going on, underground students? I'm glad that you clicked on this video and you're ready to start our first week of Activate, a new series that we're going to get into over the next 4 weeks. This first week, I want to talk about something that was big to me when I was a kid, and that's science. Listen, I think science is awesome. And when I was a young kid, I really enjoyed science. Okay, maybe I didn't really enjoy science class. And maybe I thought that the science teachers and the science books weren't really that fun and really that interesting, but the idea of science was pretty cool. But something happened as I got older. Science was pretty easy in the beginning stages. I mean, when I was younger, in an elementary school, they let us excavate a cookie to figure out how fossils work. That was pretty fun. And we got to eat the cookie. As I got older, science got more and more difficult. And if we fast forward to my senior year in high school, science was really difficult. And I didn't understand all of it. It became something that was just difficult and something that I didn't care about as much as I used to. In my senior year, there was this last test I had to take before I could graduate. And I needed to do well on the test. I wanted to do well on the test. So what the teacher did was she put us in different rooms together and just said, don't cheat. You can see how well that went. I did end up cheating on the test. And honestly, I didn't think anything of it at the time. I didn't think that it would be a big deal. But it turns out that I felt pretty guilty for what I did. Now listen, this isn't the worst thing I've ever done. This isn't the most guilty I've ever felt about anything. I'm sure that you've cheated on a test before, or that you've thought about cheating on a test before. And I'm sure that you've all done something where you felt guilty before. It's at school, it happens at home, it happens just all in our lives. One thing that we all tend to do when we're feeling guilty is we tend to back away from our relationship with God. We let guilt deactivate our faith. Today I want to talk to you about Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, one of his most well-known followers. He also did something that he could have let deactivate his faith. This is in Mark chapter 14, verses 27 through 29. It says, on the way, Jesus told them, all of you will desert me, for the scriptures say, God will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But after I am raised from the dead, I will go ahead of you to Galilee, and I will meet you there. And Peter said to him, even if everyone else deserts you, I never will. And see, Peter spoke up to make sure everyone heard that he would never desert Jesus. He wanted everyone to know how devoted he was to Jesus. And see, within hours of this happening, Peter would lie to Jesus 3 times. He would deny that he knows who Jesus is. After telling Jesus, hey, I'm never going to deny you. I'm never going to forget you. I'm never going to let that happen. And Peter could have given in to his guilt. Peter could have given in to the fact that he let his guilt deactivate his faith. He could have given in to that. He could have let the guilt inside pushed him farther and farther away from God. Jesus gives Peter another chance to make things right. Just like he gives me and you another chance when we mess up. Because here's what Jesus knew then that we know now. We know that grace is greater than guilt. We know that God's grace is greater than any guilt that we may ever feel. And that's crazy to think about. That grace is greater than the bad things that I've done. That God will extend his grace to me even when I don't deserve it. So when it comes to guilt, I want you to remember, whenever you feel guilty about anything, that grace plus guilt equals gratitude. When we embrace God's grace and we stick around instead of running away, something new happens in our relationship with God. Something powerful happens. We draw closer to him. We grow in our relationship. And I think that that is extremely vital for what we believe today. So I want to ask you a question. Where do you feel guilt that is lingering around in your life right now? Something you feel like you can't run back to God from. Something you feel has pushed you away from God. What guilt has pushed you away from God? This week, this year, this month. What has pushed you away from him? I want to challenge you this week to understand that because of grace, we can come back. And if there's any guilt in your life that you feel like is keeping you from God, that you can come back. That you can run to your Father. Because he loves you and he cares for you and He wants that relationship with you. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next week.